Hello everyone and welcome back to Strange Oddities Let's Play of Horizon's Daybreaker. As you can see, we're still enjoying all our Steam things. Few bits I've done between episodes. I've started to dig out this whole area. Added a RF Tools crafter, which is making wooden axes. RF Tools crafters are nice because you can have multiple recipes running. And that is sticking an axe in here every time this one gets used up. As you can see, wood is coming out nicely. That is backing up a bit, which is probably a good thing. Apples are getting stashed in this storage drawer, as are surplus saplings. Let's check there are. Yep, there's enough there. The wood's running down here, straight into a boiler, and creating charcoal. Now actually we could probably do with a buffer somewhere along here, which I'll fit at some point just to hold the excess charcoal, which we could use elsewhere. Boiler's running most of the time. We haven't had any issues. I've got the venting system and the hyper rationing pipe to just make sure there's only ever one charcoal when we need it. I've moved the venting system along one just so I can get an extra water source in here so that I can happily run both screws. And finally I put this sensor module onto my generator. This allows me to say when the capacitor, the battery of this generator, is over 25% full, emit a redstone signal which will switch off this pipe. Now at the moment it's flickering back and forth, which is a bit of a pain. If we let it perhaps just run to switch it off for a while, you'll see it drops down below 25%. Well, and pretty quickly it goes back up above 25%. There. So this is flickering back and forth, but I hope to improve that. Anyhow, a diversion now, which is I would like a form of automated mining. Now, I could go for an ender quarry, but I've got, well, I had one ender pearl, but now I've got none. So that's going to take a long time. Mechanism digital miner, that's going to take a while too. So, what we are going to do, I have decided, is to try making a quarry with Engineer's Toolbox. Now, Engineer's Toolbox is a very powerful, very complex and very sophisticated mod. It's based around modular sockets, which are blank blocks on which you plug all these modules. And as you can see, there's a lot of them. The one I'm interested in is the husher, which is very expensive, diamonds and ferrous ingots, and that makes a husher which mines through spraying highly pressurized liquid into the ground. Apparently this is an ancient Roman technique. Now I was very lucky. I went mining, looked up how to get nickel or ferrous, and found that you can find what's called, I think, in fact I totally forget, permatite, perlandite, something. It's an ore from ET Resources, I think. Yeah. Pentlandite. It's the only way that I know of that you can find ores to make nickel or ferrous. That enabled me to make a husher. So as you can see, I've been busy crafting, save you watching it. We've got two sockets, and I'll just show you how these work. They're fairly boring as they stand, but what you can do is put modular things on them. This is the husher, which will mine downwards. So let's grab the engineer's wrench, which lets us break the block and keep its configuration. Let's take everything with us. And see what we can do after sleeping. Now, what's nice about this Engineer's Toolbox quarry is we can gradually upgrade it, and in an ideal world we'd end up with a frame quarry, because Engineer's Toolbox includes some frame systems that will enable us to move the quarry around. Okay, let's find my modular socket with the husher on. We're mining a bit close to home, but oh well. And we're just going to plop that down there. Now the husher is going to need to take in liquid. As you remember, it basically needs liquid to pump into the ground. And this is where things get interesting. Engineer's Toolbox has the socket remote, which you can see here. By shift right clicking we can change the colour that the remote is affecting, and we're going to leave it on dark blue. And if you look at this fluid input, you'll see that it has a blue tab just here. And by right clicking we can change that blue tab to show different tanks. We're going to set it to blue on 0 actually, it's 0, 1, 2, so tank 0. Now worryingly that looks like it's got water in it already. Let's remove the fluid input. Break the block. Now what I'm hoping is that will totally clear anything when I was experimenting earlier. I think it has. Oh, I've also broken the husher off. Do not lose the husher. Not with what that costs to make. Pop down underneath and put the husher back on. We're going to pop the fluid input on. Set its tank. So this is where it's putting the liquid. To tank 0. So this allows the block to receive water on this face and put it on its internal tank 0. And we'll configure the husher. See, it's got a blue tab as well, to also use tank 0. Now we're going to tell it to output on the top, and this is going to output what it mines, and we are going to use what's called a machine output, and that means that the output from the machine, which is the husher, will get piped through the block and, pardon me, come out here. So if we change the remote to green, put the green tab, which is item. Actually, I'm not sure we even need to do that. I shall go in the... No, I don't think we need to do that. So that is a machine output, so it should just output whatever comes into the husher. Now if we stick that on top, so I think that's everything we need on the husher itself. However, we need some liquid. Now, you can just use water. Let's grab a bit more cobblestone. We can just use water, but that will only allow the husher to run down to Y level 32. You can add a pressurizer, which will allow it, and water will break everything softer than stone, I think. You can put a pressurizer on, that pressurizes the water, which means it'll break everything up to obsidian. but you're still limited to Y level 32. What you can do is build some liquid called slick water, which is what we're going to do now. And we'll put it over here. Now slick water lets you mine deeper with the hasher, and it's made, funnily enough, using another modular socket. Now, what we're going to do is make slick water here by taking water out of this area. So these are water intakes. Setting them to pump the water into tank 0. Now, slick water is made from sand and water, so we need to pump items into this, for which we'll use an item input, and we will set it to the item storage 0. So items go in, water's pumped in. It needs some power, so we're going to power it with a solar panel. But we need the actual mixer itself, which makes the water, slick water. And the only face we've got available, I think, is underneath. So we put the mixer on, set it to use item storage 0 and water storage 0. That's complicated, this. And finally we're going to want to get the water out, the slick water out, so we're going to put machine output here. Now, is this going to work? Oh well, one way to find out. I'll put a pipe here, so that we can see if this is working. And we need another chest. About engineers' toolboxes, it's a bit complicated to explain, so I do apologise. I will probably have to make a tutorial to demonstrate this better. Now the item input doesn't actually suck things, I believe, so we're going to put a pipe on here. Mechanism 1, shift right click to tell it to pull. So that should pull what we put in here, which will be sand out and into the machine. These two will pull water in. So let's give it a infinite water source. Oh, and we need power, don't we? Now, if this works, which I sincerely hope it does, this should generate power, which we can see. And the mixer should be... oh, we need sand. Duh. Not that we're ever going to be short of sand. Given we're in this rather ugly desert. Sand goes in. Mixer's doing something. that's going into 0. Those are going into 0. This is mixing in tank 0 and this is machine output. I wonder if we need to configure the liquid. Just output water. That was because we flicked through tank 0, which has got the water in. Aha! We're making slick water. Quick sleep, and let's come back and sort this out. I really must put a roof on, but it's very useful with the jetpack. It is just laziness, though. Okay, so we're now making slick water. I really should line this up. It'd be so much neater. And that's stayed configured, which is good. Must make myself a proper axe. Not an iron one. Oh, right. Let's run fluid into the system. Actually, let's not. Let's be sure whether this is going to work. Got the hasher in place using tank 0. I'm going to pump into tank 0. And we're going to come out, hopefully, item output, machine output, into the chest. Okay. Now the great thing about this system is, aside from that solar panel, whoa, well, it's working, but I've done something wrong with the output. So I'm going to guess that I need to set that to output on a green. See if that works. Yes. Now the problem we've got is that our slick water production is a bit slow. Oh, that's not where I want the sand. Put the sand in here. I assume we can use red sand. So slick water production is not going to be fast enough. Proof of concept though. So the system's digging very slowly. We need to improve our slick water production though, and I think the way to do that is to put more power in. So it's very low on power, so we might have to run a power line out here. Now the reason I put this so far away is there's one last module I want to pop on, which is the range selector. And if we use the white bit of our remote, change the range, you'll see this red thing moving. So I'm going to set it to maximum range. What that'll do, in fact it started, is dig out a very big area with slick water. So the system's going to be very slow at the moment. Need to have a think about this. Run some RF out. Probably underground. Where are we? Actually got some RF under here, in fact. Quite a bit of cabling to get it there, though. We could add some more engineer's toolbox modules with more solar panels or hydroelectric generators, something like that. But for now, we've got a little bit of proof of concept there. Now we could expand this with frames and move it when we've completed. That's possible, a little bit tricky. But for now I think we've done enough. So I'm going to wrap it up there.